To movies and toys and TV shows, to comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
I'm Derryl DePriest.
And I'm Brian Mix.
Live on tape from the Omni Providence. This is year number...
8.
Wait, is this the 8th time we've recorded this?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
We recorded the first year we came.
We did?
Yes.
That seems crazy. So, we... weren't here last year because of the pandemic.
There wasn't a show last year.
There wasn't a show.
Yeah, you should mention we're at Rhode Island Comic-Con, not just at the
Omni Providence, they know.
We are at Rhode Island Comic-Con 2021, people.
That is correct.
It's Saturday night.
Saturday night in the lobby. It's noisy if you hear
lots of ambient noise.
Crowded lobby because there's a party going on here. It's party time.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll clear out. But
we're not going to the party.
Should we list all the celebrities that we haven't been able to get on the show tonight because they already came to
Emily
Swallow.
I don't know if that's her.
Just walked past.
Was that her? I only know from the back of her head.
Her hair. She's the armorer in Mandalorian. We met her earlier in the day. We'll talk about that later.
We're assuming that was her. I only saw the back of her head.
Emily's hair just walked by.
Yeah. So Emily's hair just walked by. She didn't turn around. She's smart. I mean, who wants to turn around when someone calls your name?
Yeah, I know, especially when you're a very attractive lady. Yeah, exactly. You just keep going. You're used to that when you're an attractive lady.
Exactly.
So I would imagine. Not that I've ever been an attractive lady.
You never know.
So I wouldn't know. This show's going great so far.
Yeah, stunning. Just stunning.
Yelling as people go by is really good
we've
stuff.
We've been here at 10:30. We're waiting for this lobby to clear out because there's people literally
There's
online.
a lot of people, a lot of activity.
For this party that's in the other section. That is not her.
Emily. So
that
the person
that was not Emily.
So it's Emily's hair.
That wasn't her.
She
had her hair.
It is Emily's hair.
I feel better.
I
feel so much better about that.
Totally dissed us because it wasn't actually her.
So that's good.
Can we interview that woman's hair?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Say people, we're a little out of practice here.
Well, yeah, and we've had a few cocktails, some of us, so it's all good.
So while we were waiting, who did we see? We saw Lou Ferrigno.
We saw Lou Ferrigno. We never ask him to record because he's not friendly. But
who else?
And you don't want to get him angry.
You don't want to get him wet after midnight, I hear.
Exactly. Carl
from Chandler Riggs, I
Chandler
believe is
Riggs.
his real name, from Walking Dead. Joey Fatone. We saw Joey Fatone from NSYNC.
Some boy band, NSYNC, I think.
NSYNC, I think. And we saw
Savannah Welsh, who we'll talk about later. She's Barbara Gordon in Titans.
She's our new favorite, one of our new favorites.
She's one of our new favorites. Anyone else?
Who else did we see? We saw...
Last night we saw Tom Arnold, and we saw...
Last night, Marty Abrams, famous for creating Mego, the Mego
there you
Corporation.
go.
Yeah.
He was here.
And he'll tell you, he's famous for creating Mego.
Yes.
Also, Giancarlo Esposito walked by.
He walked by last night.
I gave him the thumbs up, and he said hi. That was nice of him.
I spent some time with him today.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Talk about that later.
But, so, again, Saturday night, it's like 10:30-ish. It is the line is thinning out, which is good because it's always a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's already gotten a little quieter in here.
So we've been here as we normally are Friday and Saturday. Brian flew in from the West Coast.
Daryl, his name's Daryl.
Daryl drove up from the South.
Yeah, about a 20-hour road trip with my son.
Just for you.
It was awesome. Yeah, just to see you guys hang out with the regular Joes.
And we appreciate that.
We do appreciate that.
This is the crew that we love spending time with at these shows. So,
and that's no matter what happens, we all made this trek very far, pretty far, not so far.
Not so far.
Some of us twice.
Some of us twice.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's my fault.
That wasn't so bad. We wasted an hour. Anyway, so we're here, and it's nice. It's weird. It's actually weird to be in a convention.
We're getting used to the convention in the tail end of the pandemic.
Slowly getting used to being around people.
It's surprising. A lot of people wear masks. There are celebrities who will not wear a mask talk to you and shake your hand without even thinking about it, which it freaks me out a little. I don't really know.
We've all been just penned up for so long that it's weird to see this many people.
Who's this? Oh, William Shatner. We saw. There's
yeah,
Marty.
Obviously. Oh, Martin Cove.
Martin Cove, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Hey. You recorded with us a
It's
couple
funny,
years
8
ago.
years ago, he spent
Now he's-
20 minutes on the couch with us.
Now he's ignoring us.
Well,
More about
and,
him later.
Yeah, we saw he had huge lines of people wanting to meet him today. Okay, so yeah,
going-
there's a lot of activity here.
Just really trying to keep your head on a swivel and see what's going on around
Heads
here.
are always on a swivel when you're in the lobby of the Omni Providence.
Exactly. All right, so let's start. So we all, Todd and Dave and Barry, drove here from 3-ish hours away.
Yes.
Where were we? Brian flew in from L.A. Why don't you tell us a little
All right,
bit about
so,
that?
Yes.
So I'm waiting at 5 a.m. to get on my flight on JetBlue, and listening to this podcast, as a matter of fact, and the last episode, just as you guys are talking about the Buzz Lightyear movie, Lightyear. Just as you're talking about Lightyear, a guy sits down 1 seat away from me, proper spacing, and I look. He's like, "That's William Shatner." I'm sitting next to William Shatner. And so first thing I do, of course, is take a picture or text these guys, I'm sitting next to William Shatner. They're like, "Really? You're kidding, right?" Because they know he's coming to the show. It's like, "No, really." I text him a picture. It's William Shatner.
And I was like, he's literally like sitting
Next
in the
to-
open thing in LAX.
We were a little surprised. It's not like you were in a first-class
But-
private lounge or
But
anything.
you thought you figured out what was
Well,
going
yeah,
on.
I did figure out what was going on. For the longest time, JetBlue had no first class, but they've added it to their mint edition of JetBlue. And he no doubt was in the first class lounge with JetBlue. And 15 minutes before boarding, he came downstairs to sit down.
and he sat next to you.
He sat next to me.
And he was alone, right?
He was
No
alone, no
of any
entourage
kind.
or anything, and I'm the only one who recognized him. He had a mask on, but he took it off to talk
We'll
on the
put
phone.
that picture up.
But yeah,
on our Instagram?
Sure, I'm the only one who recognized him, and I didn't want to be that guy, right, and go fanboy all over him. And because he's talking on the phone with someone, he's trying to work out his brand new iPhone. It's like, it's a 90-year-old guy. He's still a 90-year-old guy
Right.
working
but
with
what
his
he
iPhone.
doesn't realize is he's sitting next to a guy who literally flies across country to go to Ticonderoga to see him.
Twice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like you're beyond fanboy for this guy, and he's sitting right next to
Yeah,
you.
And,
so-
and Shatner's at this convention, so just
Yeah, we were
FYI.
both coming here. Although apparently he had a much better way of getting here because
He
I
was here long before
I
Brian.
landed Boston. I get my rental car and I drive 2 hours down
Our
here.
current theory is that there's a transporter pad at Logan.
that Jeff Bezos built for him.
Yeah, and he used that to get here because
Yeah, I
'cause
get
you're
here and
miraculously quick.
I get here and these guys are walking back going, "Yeah, we just had him autograph our stuff."
Yeah, Dave
It's
and I
like,
waited
what?
online, got his autograph before Brian was even at the hotel.
Yeah, which was
I don't know how
crazy.
he did it. I don't know how he
He
did
was
it.
there signing, and I mean,
And we were not the first ones to get his autograph. He had
No.
been there for a while
Let's
already.
Just be clear, not even the laws of physics will keep William Shatner from arriving for signing.
It is amazing.
he can violate time and space to get here for
Yes.
signing. So.
Yeah. And well, we had to see his panel today too, which was great. It was hilarious.
Terrific.
Yeah,
He
let's
ca-
just
he
spend a
comes
minute
on-
on that because I
Yeah,
mean,
let's spend time on William Shatner.
Okay.
So Friday evening, Barry and I got along to get his autograph. There's a ton of people. He's more popular now than he's ever been. I mean, we've been to shows and we've talked about it. The small, crappy shows where there's no one there online to get his autograph. There was always people online to get his autograph today. Charge $100. It's a little more than it used to be, but there were people signing giant Blue Origin photographs and Blue Origin jackets and all this stuff. So. The dude's 90. I mean,
the guy is 90. He doesn't look it and he doesn't act it. But my God, he doesn't stop. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, he's here this weekend and he's back in Ticonderoga next weekend for
Yeah.
another Star Trek
And let's
weekend.
not forget, the guy flew to space like 3 weeks ago
Yes.
and was at a show like 5 days later signing autographs.
Yeah.
so then he had a panel today, which we.
And his panel was great. He walks out on stage, and rather than saying a word, he just says, "Who has a question?" Of course, all the hands shoot up, and he goes, "You." And they go, everyone says, "Tell us about space." And he spends the next 45 minutes answering the question about going to space.
Which was awesome. I mean,
and then says, "Good night, everybody." That's it.
It was great. It was absolutely
One question.
great. It was self-deprecating. It was funny. It was right on.
He's an entertainer.
But he
He's very-
is still sharp as a freaking
Oh,
tack.
yeah, but he is a very good raconteur, and he just sat there and he just held the audience in his palm for 45 minutes from his chair, and it was great.
And I said to you guys there, I was so glad that it wasn't the normal sea of questions about dumb stuff. One question, he
we
talked
didn't
for
need to
45
hear
minutes.
those questions.
I didn't need to hear another question get asked. It was perfect, just the way it was.
And the way he answers a question is he'll start down one track and go on to another one, and he'll be talking about swimming with sharks. He's still going to talk about space, but this is just something important about how he was the first one to swim with sharks and the second one to go to space.
And the first thought that goes through my mind is, well, he's 90 and his mind is drifting.
But
No,
he weaves
he
it
was weaving that
all
together.
together.
He knew exactly where he was going. He made sure to plug his album in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it was excellent. I mean, I couldn't have been happier.
Yeah. We saw him 2 years ago here, right? He was here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's entertaining as hell, and he's, even on the sign of the thing, it's like 90th birthday tour. Like, I just, there's a lot of, people say whatever they say about him. I mean, and I don't, George Takei has his issues, and I'm sure they're legitimate.
Well, he's
but
become a caricature of himself, but in the best possible
yeah,
way.
he's a great
Exactly.
entertainer. He's awesome.
Let's just put it this way: the biggest applause line in the whole 45 minutes was Captain Kirk can't find his crotch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's this guy? That's not Alan, is it?
I can't see who it is.
Alan Richardson,
So
who plays Hank.
Bill, my friend Bill finished signing today, I guess probably around noon or 2 o'clock, and was gone. I missed
I
the
don't know
ride
if that's
back.
him anyway.
I'm going to have to find my own way home.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. He flies in for 2 days, does a panel, signs a bunch of autographs, and
And he goes back,
And
and,
heads
he's
out.
by himself. I mean,
By himself,
the dude's
no
90.
entourage.
He flew in by himself. Not that he's going to have this entourage, but he flies in by himself, does his thing, gets around. I mean, I give the guy a ton of credit. I'd love to know what motivates him. I don't think it's money, but
And I know-
somebody, one of you guys said, is that he probably feels like as long as he keeps moving, he keeps living.
I think the audience is keeping him alive. I think it's the interaction. I think that's what he feeds on. That's what sustains him. And
Yeah, I
And
think
he
as
just
long
won't-
as
he
I think he
won't
believes
stop.
as long as he has stuff on
He
his
will not
itinerary,
stop.
he can't die.
Yeah.
And I
He's
know we
always got
talked
something else to
about him
do.
a lot when he went into space, and he's been Captain Kirk has been a hero of all of ours since we were kids. But more and more, especially in the last 2 months, William Shatner is like more present for me than the character of Captain Kirk. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy is just incredible. I want to be able to do half of what he's doing when I'm 90.
And that is
Yeah.
exactly the thing. I mean, he just, and again, but he also tells about it in such a way that it makes it really entertaining, but also makes it. This
Russ
is his
Marquand,
journey.
ladies and gentlemen.
This
Oh,
is,
yeah?
this
We
is
got
I
his
think
journey.
so.
So it's
Could be wrong.
Terrific.
Is that? I don't know.
This
no,
guy
I'm
right
wrong.
here? No, that is
I can't tell.
definitely
Everyone
not.
looks like someone else.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
None of those guys look anything like Ross Marquand.
That wasn't him.
What's that?
I would
like
like
to-
I
him.
would like to. No, it was not him.
I
It
know.
was not him.
I would like to talk to him.
But
He
we
was
could have done
in a-
like a
he's-
15-minute interview with the guy with
that
the
guy.
beard.
Say,
who-
just go
who
with it, buddy.
Marginally looks like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were we?
So
William Shatner.
That wraps up Shatner. Basically, that was the first thing we know. That was more or less the first thing we did this morning.
After breakfast.
After breakfast. No, did we go there? It was right after
Yeah,
breakfast.
we came
right?
straight,
Yeah, that is
straight
we
back
went and
from
had
breakfast into the hotel, right into the ballroom, sat right down, had great seats.
But yesterday what did we do? Did we do anything yesterday? We got Shatner.
Got some autographs yesterday.
We hung around.
I got autographs from some of the characters from Clerks that I didn't have on my Clerks poster. That was
Believe it or not, we didn't have some people.
I had a few people missing, so that was good.
I got to not see the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
There's
was
a pic-
advertised.
That'll
as-
be on Instagram as well.
Yeah, that was advertised that the Ark of the Covenant would be here to take pictures of, and all there was a table that had a sign that said Ark of the. It was the invisible Ark of the
So
Covenant.
I'm walking around in my indie costume, and people keep coming up to me and saying, "You should be out looking for the Ark. It's missing. Do you know what happened to the Ark?"
I don't know. All right, so then I know we're always distracted when we're sitting in the lobby.
That's
as
just the way it
Omni.
is. Got to be. Yeah, got to know what's going
Just
on in case
assume-
there's anything worthwhile.
Much as I hate to say these words, anybody in costume is nobody. So,
Yeah, it's a safe bet. The celebrities
the
don't
bar's
walk around in
closed.
costume.
Or the restaurant. Is it closed? I don't know.
So you guys, I got to watch, but you guys got to express. You got to tell the Barbara Gordon story this morning.
Yeah.
That was-
after the
was-
Shatner thing,
Yeah.
we wanted to look around, and the woman who plays Barbara Gordon on Titans, which one of our favorite shows right now, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we talk about it a lot.
So she's here, and she was here. The dude who plays Red Hood is here, and the guy who plays Hawk was
Alan
here.
Richardson. Yep.
Alan Richardson and Curran Waters or
Savannah
something
Welch.
like that.
And then
But-
yeah.
We just like Barbara Gordon. Batgirl is, is runs deep on our hormones. Certainly mine.
That's right.
So
All the incarnations, yeah.
yeah. So we waited for her. She was, and then Todd and I got her autograph and talked
we
to
were
her.
we ended up being the first in line.
Yeah, Savannah Welch is her name. She was lovely, sweet.
She was
talked
very,
to us.
very nice.
We talked to her for like
Yep.
5 minutes.
Yep. And was absolutely terrific.
Yeah,
And this is her second show.
second show ever.
And
And she's like, "Do you guys go to shows?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we go to too many of these things."
Look her up, though. If you're listening to this, look her up. She's got an inspiring story.
Yeah,
oh yes,
Yeah.
very much so. Yeah.
She's not just your average DC show actress. She's got
she's
a
great.
very
She was
inspiring
really great.
history.
And then Todd got Alan Richardson, who plays Hawk,
Yep.
who was awesome. He's going to be in the new Jack Reacher. We talked a little bit about that. He is, if you've read the Jack Reacher books, this dude is Jack Reacher. He's like 6'5", huge, ripped, very handsome, strapping.
He's 6'2", but he's a big dude.
He's
he is
bigger than 6'2",
No, he's 6'2".
Really?
So it's but he's a big dude. He's got a serious presence. He dissed on my name in I think episode 4 of the show, and I had told Dave I was going to kick his ass.
Yeah.
But he made this thing about Todd, made a derogatory comment about Todd with one D, and I was going to call him out on it, and Dave talked me down. And
Yeah,
now
exactly.
I guess in retrospect, I'm kind of glad he did. So he was a big guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah, so that was cool to see those because we love that show. And Barry, you got
I went over and met Emily Swallow, who is the woman that plays the armor in The Mandalorian. And she was also in Supernatural. Dave was
I
there
talked
with
to
me. He talked to her a little bit about Supernatural. I talked to her a little bit about The Mandalorian. She signed an autograph for me. She was very nice.
She was super nice,
Yeah.
really engaging, wanted to talk.
Yeah,
which was
she
great.
had some interesting thoughts on the end of Supernatural that Dave was
Yeah,
talking
it's funny.
about.
Yeah, we talked to. She was asking me like, "What do you think about the finale?" And she liked it. She had her issues with the makeup and stuff, but
Yeah, and I told her I was hoping to see her character show up again in season 3 of The Mandalorian, hoping that maybe she'd say something, but basically she just said, "Yeah, I hope so too." So
yeah, we'll see. Is the bar still open? Yeah, okay.
Brian
Is
just
there
got a
anyone
drink
in
the
there?
bar.
Nobody I recognize.
No
one I recognize, but I
Okay,
don't
Tom
recognize
Arnold
anybody.
wasn't
So
in there.
him I'd know, and no, he wasn't in
He
there.
was there yesterday. Who's that?
I don't recognize that person.
No, me neither. Who's that? Who's that dude?
I don't recognize that person.
Who's this guy running?
This is really good radio, guys.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just good stuff.
Listen, Rhode Island Comic Con show is always very.
I need water.
Dave needs water.
So what else? So yeah. So we
Okay,
did,
well, I can talk about my trip over to the Dunkin'
yeah,
Donuts
let's
Center.
talk about
I gotta-
that.
yeah.
Let's
All right.
hear about that.
So I separated from you guys because I wanted to go get Giancarlo Esposito and Carl Weathers autographs. So I made the trip over to Dunkin' Donuts Center. I got there. Carl Weathers wasn't there at the moment, and Giancarlo was, but they capped his line. So I had to basically sit and wait for 2 hours for him to come back, which was fine because they moved us into this nice holding area where we got to sit in very comfortable seats. I was listening to some podcasts, hanging out. It was good. Time passed. It was fine. Finally, they move us down. I get on Giancarlo's line. We get Giancarlo. I get his autograph. He's a super nice, super cool guy. And then Carl Weathers comes over and starts joking around with him. There was a whole thing going on. Giancarlo couldn't have been nicer to everybody that came by. So I get off his line, and I'm going to go
Barry,
get...
did you get Carl Weathers' autograph?
Well, I'm about to tell you what happened with Carl Weathers. So,
Because you were pretty excited about
I
getting
was
Carl
excited
Weathers'
about that.
autograph,
I
weren't
had
you?
a Grief Karga action figure that I was excited to get him to sign. You know, I think most people get Rocky stuff or Predator or whatever, but I wanted a Grief Karga action
Not
figure.
Action Jackson?
Maybe Action Jackson. I get on his line. Thankfully, there was basically nobody there. I had one person in front of me, so I did not have to wait a long time. I get up there, I take out my action figure, and the woman behind his table tells me, well, it's $80 for his autograph, but it's $300 to sign a collectible, and I'm doing air quotes around the word collectible.
Good grief.
Yes, good grief, Karga.
$300?
$300 for boxing gloves or boxing shorts or action figures or Funko Pops.
Or a $10 action figure.
William
and I'm like-
Shatner, Captain Kirk of Star Trek, will sign anything for
Anything,
$100.
Right. $300. I walked away. Now, thankfully, like I said, I didn't wait a long time because if I had waited an hour for that to find out it was $300,
Why
I'd have been
didn't you
pissed.
wait for an hour? There weren't tons of people wanting to get.
And that was funny
his-
because I mentioned that Carl came over to talk to Giancarlo, and when he did, he was like making reference to the fact that Giancarlo had this huge line, and there was no line at his table. There's no line at your table, Carl, whether it's because you're charging $300 for a goddamn action figure. That's why there's nobody at your table.
I know. So I mean, that's the thing. It's like he's charging $300 for collectibles, and there was not a lot of people online. And then Giancarlo's charging $60 for whatever.
I can almost
and there was
understand
a
it.
ridiculous number of people
Yeah, I
online.
can almost understand it with boxing gloves, maybe because of that whole
Yeah.
thing. But I mean, honestly, a $10 action figure, it really didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I've spent a lot of dumb money on a lot of dumb things at conventions, but a $220 upcharge for an action figure.
That's a trend we don't
even
want to see.
I drew the line,
going
and you guys
on.
know I rarely draw the line on that kind of stuff, but it just wasn't going to happen.
Jean-Luc Picard, everybody. No, that wasn't. That's not him.
You know, see, he's looking over my shoulder, so he says this, and I can't tell if he's kidding or not. He said William Shatner, I turned around. It's like, oh, of course, I know Shatner's gone.
Shatner already left,
Yes.
It's Bob Ross.
and that's
Someone dressed as
some
Bob
woman
Ross.
from
Ursula.
Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
The Bob Ross is good,
Hey, you
I
know
got to
what?
say.
We always say people should do cosplay that's body appropriate.
That was body.
That was body appropriate.
And I guess I saw she was on the escalator yesterday when we were coming down, and she did a great
Yeah.
job with that costume.
That pull it off. That's
Yeah.
it. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So then what did we do? Then I finally hooked up with you guys after that. I'd been like hours apart. I don't know. What do we do next?
We walked the floor. The vendor stuff is
I
nothing
got to say
special.
that the vendors' floors was kind of dull this year. Really?
Is it just nothing special, or we just have so much stuff that it's not special to us?
No. If you wanted, the same print
not
of
Tom
Luke and
Holland,
Leia
is it?
in
No.
5 different mediums, from lenticular to black and white to hand painted, you could get it because there are zillions of paper goods here.
There's a lot of people thinking they're artists
Well,
selling
that's
stuff
what I was going
too.
to say, and I don't mean to diss anybody's creativity, but Artist Alley used to be the people that did comic books, and
There is some
and
of
there's
that.
some of that, but it has kind of become just anybody who has a printer
This-
and can
So-
Photoshop
okay.
things together.
Mart.
This is my rant on this subject. Okay, there was a guy at Comic-Con who shows how he does it. He takes a photograph and then airbrushes over that photograph into a painting. I'm doing air quotes. And then he makes a print of that painting and sells it as his own work.
That's not really the intent.
is-
That's paint by
So-
numbers.
Today I dropped another chunk of change at the Herofied booth.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't even tell me that.
Yep. And I bought the cap profile to go with my Iron Man profile.
Oh, cool.
Which I've been thinking about for 2 years.
This guy prints art on a polished aluminum, and it's stunning.
It's gorgeous.
in
It's absolutely
person.
gorgeous. And he
We've
does his
talked
own
about him a
stuff.
bunch of times.
We have several times, and now, the thing with his work is he looks at source material and then he does his own interpretation of it. It's not a stock pose. You don't look at his stuff and say, okay, well, this is off this poster and this was off this promotional art and this is off this package art. It's all his own take on this stuff, and it comes across that way, and it's unique and it's vibrant and beautiful stuff, and which is why, like I said, I don't mind paying the money that we've paid for it.
So one artist that I actually got.
That's Herofied, and I think it is Herofied.com.
Speaking of .com, check out Fanboy Collectibles. They've got everything you need. We're not going to forget about them. We drove near-ish them.
We drove through Newtown, Connecticut to
we
get
did
here.
drive through Newtown, Connecticut. Had to turn around because Barry forgot his glasses. Went back to my house, got them, and
drove through Newtown, Connecticut a
But we
second
would have
time.
stopped by had we actually not had to drive back and get
Yes,
glasses.
that is true.
But check those guys out. The holiday season. FanboyCollectibles.com. Fanboy Collectibles in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the regular Joe sent you.
I find the idea of going through Newtown without stopping inconceivable.
Well,
I'm just saying. I understand. I understand you had another.
We
had
were
a
already
detour.
an hour behind.
You had a detour, but again,
you can't go to Fanboy and get in and out quickly there.
It's like Mecca. Okay, you just you can't be close without stopping to worship.
Because what do they have? They have statues and
They have
pops,
statues and pops and hot toys and
Kotobukiya.
They got everything.
Everything a fan could want.
So something I was just going to say before Dave went into the commercial, I did go see an artist today, a guy named Derek Riggs, who has done some of the most amazing album covers, but he did almost all the Iron Maiden album covers. And there was a book. He had a book. He had prints and things, but
famous.
There was a book that an author named Martin, I think it's Popenoff, who actually wrote a bunch of Rush books, so I'm familiar with the guy. He did a book, The Art of Derek Riggs, and Derek was there, and he signed it, and he drew a sketch on the inside of the cover of the book for me. So that was awesome because I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. My son Josh is, and my friend Scott is. So that was cool that he was here, and to me, like he's the type of artist that I wouldn't even expect to see at a Comic-Con. So that was actually kind of cool.
Out of left field, I was walking by and saw a great piece of original art by an artist of Space Ghost and Blip the Monkey. That was.
And I'm going. Do you remember his name?
I don't.
But I'm going back tomorrow and getting an Iron Man print that he did with the original classic Iron Man. And then the golden armor.
I'll post
Iron
a
Man.
picture of the print. We'll put his name. Let's put a name on it. But he'd drawn it, and he had one of the original Hanna-Barbera colorists color it.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's
piece
really
of art.
great.
Yeah,
and that was terrific. And again, if I wasn't in a costume and did not want to carry it, I would have bought the thing right then, and I'll go back for it tomorrow. That was some of the best stuff that we saw. And not again highly stylized, very classic, not highly stylized. But also original.
And I have a few pieces of comic art, but it's always colored. I always like to get two people on it, and get it ink, penciled ink.
So, Derryl, how about you? What did you? What was your experience so far?
Well, mostly when I come to these shows, it's to see you guys, of course, but I'm not necessarily into the celebrity aspect as much. So I'm into the merchandise. So I always come with a list of stuff I need, and that's toys and books. And I did find some things at this show, but echoing what you guys said before, that this show floor is pretty disappointing. Like, there's less real good merch that I've seen at shows, and it's filled with, candy vendors and all kind and authors of
candy vendors and pops
and a million
everywhere.
Authors of books you've never heard of who are out there trying to make eye contact for you to come over to the table. It's actually. There's so many authors here for self-published books. It's really like,
and it just doesn't feel like any of those guys are getting even their money's worth out of having a booth here.
I don't think so. I don't know how many new fans they're getting. They're accessible. You can talk to them, but there's so many books now.
Yeah,
out there. So it's a strange show for me because I've seen the show evolve, and I have to say I felt less connected to it this year than ever before.
I'm hoping it's the COVID rebound.
Oh, I think it is too, because again, there were definitely fewer vendors, and it was an odd selection of vendors, and the crowd seemed very different too. So it was, a lot more people this morning, very few people this afternoon.
It really thinned out.
It
went
down. Seemed really thin.
It used to be much more consistent. They also spaced the hours out a little bit more. I got to think it was a ghost town towards those last few hours.
Well, but when we got in Friday evening, and normally we get in a little bit earlier even, we were in a little bit later in the evening on Friday, and it was pretty empty on Friday night. I mean, which was nice. It was not feeling too crowded from all the people. But even later in the day today, it really thinned out quite a bit. So we'll see what it's like tomorrow.
You guys, I walked in, nothing feels like tradition, like seeing you guys do your podcast. Without the regular Joe's podcast, I think it doesn't feel like Rhode Island Comic-Con.
Nice.
That's what
Thank
made
you.
me feel good. Like, I know everyone's going through a lot of crazy emotions right now.
For sure.
And this feels like we're going back to a normal state. So
I love this guy.
We feel the same way. It's
We
a
do.
little weird out
That's
there.
why we're here.
It is.
You know,
it
like,
is.
there was times. Remember, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. There's a line happening right past you guys. I think it was the epic rap battle guys.
Yep.
2 or 3 years ago. And during the middle of it, it's just you guys doing the podcast.
Yeah, well, this year, too, this line wrapped around for that after party, and we were, like, waiting for it to...
What line? We don't wait for a line.
Yeah, well, sometimes we
When was the
do.
last time any one of you guys waited for a line?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Okay, that is kind of one of our things.
Yeah,
but
that is one of
yeah.
our things.
Yeah.
So what's your name and what do you do?
All right. My name is Arash Zandia. My friends call me Hash. I own a company by the name of Evolution Comics.
Uh-huh.
We help distribute for artists who literally can't make their way to New York Comic Con, to San Diego, or any of the big shows. I find your talents and bring them up to where I would say what Marvel and DC is looking for in a way.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Great. And
Yeah.
were you from here or were you
No,
from?
born and raised in New York.
Oh, okay.
Born in Brooklyn, raised in Long Island for over 38 years.
Where in Long
Glen
Island?
Cove.
Glen Cove. Raised in Wantagh.
Okay.
I live in Holtzville still, but I'm on the island too.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool though. That it sounds like what you're doing is really awesome because I mean, you mentioned some of the big Comic Cons, but you know, you get lost at those anyway. I mean, artists, unless they're already established, don't really get discovered at those shows.
So, yeah.
Well, and one of the things we've always said about this show is that it has all the best things of some of the bigger shows, but it's a smaller show,
Yeah.
and it's manageable. So it's easier to spend time talking to people and getting you don't really get the time at the bigger shows because you're either on your way somewhere always, or it's just too crowded and it's just too much going on.
Or how about the fact that if you go to New York to San Diego, it takes you 45 minutes to go from aisle 100 to
Right,
aisle like
absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
1500.
We've talked
Yeah,
many
yeah.
times how you can
Oh, my
can
God.
see where you want to be. You just can't get there.
Or if you're spending
Right.
a day at New York Comic Con, you're going to be lucky if you do one or two things, and that's it, just
Yeah.
because of the way
Yeah.
the shows are set up.
Yeah, I remember the last time I went to a panel. I can't remember the last time I went to 4 or 5 panels. I remember just
Exactly.
going to
Yes.
2
Right.
panels.
You're lucky if you get to one or two. You're
Right.
right, yeah.
Especially now, they're spread out all over Manhattan. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I mean,
Before, it was within the convention center. Before, Artist Alley wasn't even Artist Alley. Artist Alley was still
Yeah.
upstairs.
Yes.
So downstairs was that cool convention floor. What was also weird was their so-called VIP section that they had also downstairs,
Yeah.
which they actually mingled the VIPs with the celebrities.
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
that got sketchy fast.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird scene. But we love this show. You know, it's the right size.
So I got to ask, how long has this podcast been happening?
8 years.
8
8
years.
years.
Yep.
So for
400
8 long years,
411 episodes.
so for 6 years of my life, while the 8 years, I've witnessed 6 years.
Well,
of
we
this.
do it. We do it weekly.
Yeah.
We just, this is
We've
just the
done
one
it
time a
here
year.
every year. For 8 shows. Obviously, there wasn't a show last year,
Right, yeah.
Right.
but this is our 8th show doing this here.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing,
Yeah.
and it's like a great tradition. Like
Yeah.
as you guys probably mentioned, I walked in, I was like, nope, I'm home.
Yeah.
I get to see
So,
you guys.
Ash, you gotta if you keep coming back, you got to keep checking in with us.
I think I
So
will.
make
I think this has to be
set
a
some
yearly
time aside
tradition.
for us every year. You sit down with us for a few minutes, catch up.
Yes.
'Cause,
Yeah.
that's great.
That'd be awesome.
we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming by.
Yeah,
and we really
yeah.
appreciate the kind words because we feel that way about this show. But it's nice to hear a different perspective.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
it's.
exactly.
I think what you guys are doing is so great.
Well, thank you for
Well,
coming
thanks
by.
for sitting,
yeah.
sitting down.
We'll,
Thanks for
we'll
the
look
nice
for you
words.
again
Good
next
to
year.
see you.
I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you guys for keeping a small and amazing tradition,
Yeah.
and everyone should be part of it.
Love it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
you.
so much.
Anytime.
Yeah. Good evening.
Okay, so I'm standing through the dealer's room, and there's a line 4 people thick that leads from the front of the dealer's room all the way to the back where the autographs are. There must be 200 people in this line. So I stop by. I go, "What is this line for?" He goes, "Cobra Kai."
Cobra Kai.
That was
Cobra
for a photo op.
Photo op.
Photo
photo
ops
op.
for Cobra Kai.
It was. We saw the. It was hundreds and hundreds of people.
This
And-
is a Cobra Kai show.
So,
it really is.
And if you want to really look at the history of us doing this show here, objectively, very first Rhode Island Comic Con, we got Billy Zabka and Martin Cove to sit right here with us. They
This
were.
was years before.
It was
Cobra
way
Kai
before Cobra
was-
Kai.
Was rebooted.
And you could
Rebooted.
walk up to their table and get their autograph without waiting for a line of people or whatever. Now
They're in
they've
the
got,
big building.
They're in the big building. They've got hundreds of people lined up. When I tell you they were stacked, and then they had a whole section in overflow waiting to get into the line. And it was hours and hours of wait for not just Martin and for Billy, but for all the kids that are on the show, too. I mean,
yeah, there were at
lines
least three of the kid characters.
And when you think about the history of that show, it started out as a YouTube series, or YouTube Red, whatever it was called, and then it got picked up by Netflix, and it's
Really?
just enormous now. And season 4 is coming soon, right? Christmas or January or
in December.
December.
Sometime in December. I don't know, but yeah, season 4, and I think they've been picked up for season 5. But they weren't. I mean, they weren't doing a ton when we interviewed them 7-ish.
No,
years
and they were
ago.
great to us that first
They
year.
were awesome.
I mean, Billy especially, he went and got people out of the bar to come in
there's
and
Richard
sit down
Cohen.
with us. It was
coming in.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know. I'll
that's
yell
a guy
at him and see.
from Home
Who's
Improvement.
that other dude? There
And
you
that's-
go.
He's with. Is that the guy from last night?
I don't know
that
who's
said?
the other guy.
I can't see his face, but I think that might be the guy from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
No, is it?
Yes,
Is
it
it the
is.
dishes guy?
That's the Dishes Are Done man guy.
I've never seen that movie.
I love that
I
guy.
thought it was Adventures in Babysitting he was
No,
talking
it's,
about.
it's Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. And I'm now during last night I knew his name. Right now I cannot remember his name.
You should know it in case we
You
get him
want to
over
have
here.
him on the show, but you don't
Oh
remember
my
his name.
God!
So
How
you
did I
can't call it
forget
out.
his name? I knew it yesterday. Oh my God! You keep entertain the
Okay.
people. I'll look it up.
So yeah, it's good for them. I mean, it's Cobra Kai's got super popular.
I think, in fact, you gave Cobra Kai a Vine,
We gave them
an early Vine, and look
We
what's
reached out.
happened since then. It just
Exactly.
exploded.
It's Keith Coogan, by the way.
Who?
Keith
Coogan.
Coogan.
Who's that? That's not Emily, is it? No,
No, that is definitely not Emily.
I don't know. Who's that? We're distracted, people. Sorry.
This is just the way it goes in the lobby at the Omni. Once again, the Omni's been awesome.
Omni's always good to us. They don't bother us at all.
No.
Oh,
You're a
Sitting here
fixture.
worried about.
I was very excited today in the dealer's room. I met a fan.
Yes, you
I-
did.
I've
Tell us
never
about that.
been fanned in my life, and I met a Regular Joe's podcast fan.
And so this, again, a shout out to our friend Paul, who we have known since going back to when Dave and I did Aesop. We met him at one of John Cozen's shows. And
That was got to be almost 20 years ago.
almost 20 years ago. And he,
Or
and he-
20
we,
years
We've run
ago.
into him every few years ever since then. And he came up, and he actually had he had a bunch of Lego Stormtroopers. He had one for each of us, one for each of the hosts, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah, so
And-
thank you, Paul.
and,
Even the Irregular Joes,
Paul-
he was really kind.
Paul is about, he said, about 4 months behind on the podcast at this point.
Yeah, so he'll
So,
hear this
Paul,
about.
when you were listening to this in March, we love you, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and we'll see you here next year.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you mentioned our friend John Cozen, who is actually still recovering in the hospital. So, John, if you're listening to this, we wish you the best. Quick
Yeah.
recovery.
Oh, he almost saw me.
Keith
I was
Coogan.
waving at him.
Come on, Keith. Sit down with us.
So we talked about Cobra Kai. I feel like this show, and I guess people are still getting used to getting out, and I don't think the costumes have been as heavy. There have been some costumes, I think, that you guys were talking about. A lot of Ahsokas, because Ashley Eckstein is here.
And I was just saying earlier that the Ahsoka costume is like almost equivalent to what Harley Quinn was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time you turn around, there's like three of them standing together, and a lot of really good ones, some kind of entry level ones. But I think it's great the way that character is kind of caught on, because it's actually a very positive character in a whole lot of ways, and a very strong character, and so, but huge interest. And
It's funny.
and
I've seen lots and lots of Marvel, and almost no Star Wars. That's the stunning part.
Yeah,
There's
you know,
almost
it's-
no
there's
Star Wars
the
costumes.
There's
random
a couple
Jedi
of
here and there.
Jedis.
and
not even a lot of Mandalorian people.
That surprises me too. I expected to see some other characters there. It seems like this may bode really well for the Ahsoka show because there just seems to be a whole lot of interest in it. A lot of Loki characters. There was just one of the guys wearing the variant jacket walking through the lobby. A lot of the Sylvie character. I saw several different interpretations of that.
Oh yeah,
every manner of Loki that we saw on the show.
Was a guy in a full rocket costume with an alligator Loki on his shoulder.
Alligator Loki, and I saw 3 people yesterday that were 3 different versions of Loki from Loki: the classic Loki, the President Loki, and then someone carrying the alligator. So
simultaneously,
all together. It was obviously a coordinated thing, and then the other costume set that I thought I love the group costumes. I love when people get. So I was in the parking garage earlier, and I ran into the cartoon Teen Titans, and from Titans Go,
like Teen Titans Go. Wow,
and they were awesome. Just really good. Each costume was unique, but they're all kind of patterned after that. And I've got a photo of that.
Did all these kids have oversized heads and giant eyes?
I got to say they did a really good job with making the masks a little oversized so that it kind of fit with the cartoon. And again, a tremendous creativity. Less of the costume stuff than in the other years we've seen, and probably less of the really kind of out there stuff. I think this is much more homegrown than
Yeah. There wasn't seem like the major heavy duty cosplay that we've seen, and I get it. People may not be ready to get out.
Yep.
I understand that.
A lot of Squid Game, kind of easy things to do.
Yeah, we saw some of those people. Saw 1 or 2 other Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Scarlet Witch and
Vision.
We
Couple
saw
of those.
What else was? And then there's a lot of anime stuff that we don't really know what that is.
Just going back to Ahsoka for a second, Ashley Eckstein's here, who was the voice of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars. She's another one whose line is always a mile long.
Yeah.
People were waiting. She had a huge overflow area too, and Rosario Dawson clearly is now the new Ahsoka, but there's a lot of love.
People
for
love that character.
A lot of love
in
for
Clone
Ashley
Wars
too.
And,
and
whatever. Was
she made that character.
Yeah,
she built that
Rebels.
character.
She showed up in Rebels as well. Yeah.
See, I know something. But
Dave knows things.
I mean, about animation. I'm not the biggest animation fan.
You
Everybody
should have a
knows
microphone.
that. By the way,
You are one of the key hosts here.
Okay, that's okay. But yeah, no, it's. I think that's great. And again, I think, and I said, I think the future of Star Wars rests on these characters.
Oh,
these
God,
characters
yeah.
that
I mean,
are being
there's how many
introduced now? Because, and I think that this translation, the Ahsoka character, is going to be critical, as are the other things that we see on Disney Plus. So.
there's
that's
what,
the
4
stuff
shows coming out?
That is the stuff that I'm excited about.
There's Ahsoka. There's Book of Boba Fett. There's 5 Obi-Wan,
Andor.
Mandalorian,
Andor.
There's 5 series coming out.
And we know of, I think, 2 movies that are in development, but we don't know enough about them to be excited about
and
them.
At least, we don't know when Mandalorian is, but there's 4 series next year.
Yeah, it's clear that Disney is putting more money into the TV shows right now, and I think the success
and let that be the next year or 2 while they develop these new
subscriptions
movies
too.
I mean, we know they've got the Patty Jenkins movie,
or
and they've
3
got the,
or 6 years.
Right,
Todd.
They've got Patty Jenkins and Taika Waititi are both developing movies.
Wait, they have Ryan Johnson and who?
Yeah, okay.
Mrs. Ryan Johnson?
They've also said that Kevin Feige's developing a Star Wars movie. So
I'm on board with that.
I'd be on board with that.
Patty, you better figure out something after Wonder Woman 84.
When you look at what CBS is doing with Star Trek, it's like they're turning out stuff as fast as they possibly can.
And
Star Wars has got to
none
do
of
the
it's
same
great.
thing. No,
well, Star Wars tried, and it
Strange
fell apart.
New Worlds better help
Yeah.
save the franchise.
It will.
Yeah, I've not been a huge fan. I mean, Star Trek is like pizza, right? The worst of it is still pretty good, but I've not been a huge fan of most of what's come out. I'm really hoping Strange New
You
Worlds.
guys like Lower Decks?
Yeah, Lower Decks has
I
actually
like
been.
Lower
really
I've
Decks
good.
actually even been watching Lower
Yeah.
Decks.
The
And
season,
it's not as frantic as it was. and I can.
And we'll
I
talk
can
about
watch
this
it.
next week. But the season finale was fantastic.
It was great.
I haven't seen
I
it.
haven't seen it yet.
I'm one behind.
And we know people that don't like the show.
Who's that?
John. And but I gotta say, I have loved every episode this season.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because again, it's a world and a universe that we know, and it's fun, and it's fun just having fun in that universe. I will say that I was going to mention this next week. I did watch the first episode of Prodigy, and I'm going to watch the second episode.
Okay.
So it's
and soon Discovery comes back, and I'm.
Yeah, well, and I'll
I'm
watch
scared.
the first episode of that too, but I don't know.
You don't think you watch the season?
I'll watch it, but I'm
just
not
not-
going to
I'm
enjoy
not
it. I
excited
know
about it.
already I'm not
You
going to enjoy
can't
it.
not watch live action Star Trek.
I will watch
You
it,
can be
but,
forgiven for not watching animated
but
stuff.
I've
you
been
gotta watch live
disappointed
action Star
3
Trek.
seasons running. So
Yeah, there's been some good stuff.
I'll
But
watch
that's
it.
not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about who's that guy? No. Kidding. It's
We're
kinda
not here to
empty
bury
here.
Star Trek. We're here to praise it.
that's
fine.
right. Yes.
It's not. We're not here only to talk to the famous people. We're really here to talk amongst ourselves. Who's
this
that?
is true.
No, I don't. Joking.
I wore my Indiana Jones the first day, and then today I put on number 5 from the Umbrella Academy, which
Not
I was
number 5 from Short Circuit.
and
What?
not,
Johnny
not
Five.
number
Johnny
5.
Five.
It's
Johnny
Johnny
Five.
5.
Johnny
But
Five.
number
I was
5.
I was grossly unprepared to wear that costume. I forgot 3 items at home, and I went and bought one, and I improvised another, but I pulled it off. So
You too can wear a
I
bag
don't
strap
know about
as a tie.
okay. So Brian just outed me. Yes, I realized
this?
at the last moment that I did not bring a black
normal
tie to
people,
wear
I
with a
think.
costume. I took the strap off my messenger bag and made a pretty passable tie.
Oh,
so
no,
it was-
nobody caught it till
I
you
wouldn't
told
have
them.
known
No.
it
That's
wasn't a
that dude
tie.
Yeah.
From who's that? What's that show? That's that guy from Practical Jokers.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what his name is.
I think it's Impractical Jokers.
I think it is too.
Will. He's got.
Yep.
Oh, here's somebody in a Roddy Piper costume, maybe? Or
I
is
believe
Hulk
that
Hogan?
no, that's who that is. You nailed that one.
That is Rowdy Piper. Is he here?
No, he's dead.
He's deceased.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
a very nice man, though. I
He
met
was.
him.
We actually all met him, right?
I did meet
but
him at
some
the
wrestler
Joe
people
show.
were
He
here.
was great.
There were some wrestler people.
I don't know who any of them are.
Yeah, there were a number of professional
Jimmy
wrestlers who were
Fly
signing.
Snooker?
I don't think the Superfly was here.
Jimmy
No.
Snuka?
So does anybody's
tell you.
wife actually listen to this show?
Occasionally,
Of- yes, of
my wife
yours.
will
No.
listen.
No, my wife.
Very
doesn't. Even
rarely.
The shows I'm on, she won't.
We've
she
had
doesn't
them
listen.
on. We've interviewed them.
Yes, we did
Oh,
have
have
them
you
on
really?
once.
Yeah.
You've done the wife show. Really?
We did a
Okay.
round
We
table in
did
Dave's
it
backyard.
We were at my house.
That was actually one of my favorite episodes. I loved hearing the
Really?
wives. I want to have you guys not on an episode, just the wives talk about
that
you
would
guys.
be good.
That
You
would be
guys
good.
You could host it.
That would be funny. Yeah, yeah.
As we've been around the show floor, did we see any products and stuff like that we thought were interesting? Anything innovative or clever?
That's
or-
the scary thing.
Brian
you
and I
saw
looked at some
the
stuff
triple
today.
Thing.
One of the things
Talk about the Tribble thing.
the two of the things I was going to mention is one, this company whose name we will mention later because I don't have the card with me.
Science something.
Tribble Academy or
Tribble
something
Academy.
like that.
Okay,
What's
yes.
Tribble
that,
Academy.
Academy?
Yeah.
Nice,
It's-
Daryl, pulling that one out of your
Thank
ass.
you, because I don't have their card. But so they make tribbles, and there's an app that goes with it. And from the app, you can control the tribble. You can put it in room guard mode. You can have an alert mode, and it's just a very, very kind of cool thing. And they
Were the
had
ones on their tables purposely oversized? Or
One
they,
was giant.
Yes,
and
there's a
one was
giant
sort of
one.
their normal
yeah, they
size.
had
Okay.
a giant one that's kind of almost a
get the
triple
giant
hassock. And then
Giant tribbles are from the animated series,
yes,
right? The really big ones. They're multiple tribbles on the inside.
they should all be pink though, because right? Because I actually
Yes, they
want
should be pink.
I want a
You want
pink tribble.
giant pink tribble full of little pink tribbles.
Exactly.
I
from
want a
the
cell
animated
of
series.
a tribble.
So, but anyway, it was very cool, and since we're somehow bizarrely attached to tribbles now, it seemed a very, very cool thing. The other thing, Brian and I were looking at another vendor that was selling custom kind of made book cover things in a number of different configurations, which are really kind of neat. You could get a Kindle cover that looked like the Guide for the Newly Undead from
and they had
from
the Hitchhiker's
Beetlejuice.
Guide to the Galaxy and How
the
I Did It by Victor
Necronomicon.
Frankenstein.
What else do they go on? Do they go on like tablets?
Well, you could get it. They custom make them. They can make them for anything. But also, they had a couple other variants that you could get it as a notebook if you wanted a blank book. You could also get it as and I'm going to order one of these, as like you open it up and it's like a jewelry box. It's got little compartments in it, but when it's closed, it looks like a book.
Was that the place that I saw someone had a leather-bound Dune?
There were several
and
things like that.
For like $200.
Oh, yeah, they also bound real books.
Yeah.
But they had, and they custom make these things to order. They're very reasonably priced from talking to them, and we'll put in the name later.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. Yeah, we will. Well, no, I will. For your Instagram pictures, I'll have a picture of their card.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
There you go.
They're called
So
Geekify.
Geekify. Thank you.
Oh, that's the woman in the Spider-Man costume.
That's them. Yeah.
Who was
Oh,
here
I'll check
earlier.
that out. I saw the Dune thing. That's
And
interesting.
it was but like every book that you can think of, they had How I Did It by Victor Frankenstein was there. Okay. And I said, have you ever done To Serve Man? Okay. And he says, yes, we did that for a while. And he says, but I had to explain it to everybody, so it's not one of the examples that I bring. But I think I want that book. I want To Serve Man and have that like open up and be a hidden little storage compartment thing.
So are they like leather-bound books?
They look like a leather-bound book.
Not like a thing.
And they made them a bunch of different materials. And there's, like I said, they do Harry Potter themed ones. They do, but again, they had all different examples. And everything. The Book of the Dead was there. It was just like all these different things. Very, very clever. Very well executed. In Harry Potter, there's a number of textbooks, different textbooks that they have. They do all the textbooks from Harry Potter so that you could, have each one of these things. And it was one of the more clever things I've seen. And I like that a lot. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. We saw there's a guy who's a Disney artist. He had a lenticular 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea that had the submarine and then the divers, and it was really the depth of it was really
the depth
cool.
of it was what really was stood out, because it was cool artwork, but when you turned it really had a sense of depth to it that you don't see that as much in most lenticulars.
Yeah, it
was really good.
Wall
It's really
space,
well
so
done.
I didn't get it, but that was pretty cool. Anyone else?
I'm trying to think what else. And I don't know the guy's name, and I'll try to figure out what it was and post it. But there's a guy that takes like World War II or historic photos.
That's the
I love that.
13th floor. Or
Is it
something.
13th floor?
Something like
he
that.
He had one where he took this classic Luke Skywalker photo and put David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust in it with the lightsaber. That was really
James
awesome.
Bond.
Oh yeah, look, it's James Bond. It's
not.
It's actually a guy that looks like an old Robin Williams in a tuxedo. So,
Brian, you're headed back to L.A. What are you working on?
Oh, what am I working on?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what's on my workbench? I'm working on a number of things. I've got BB-8, full-size BB-8. I'm putting together. I'll get electronics ready for him. Building a couple of 2-foot Jupiter 2s.
That
from
I
Lost
gotta
in
see.
Space. That's another project, and I got a great.
are those kits or are those things you're fabricating from scratch? or?
The BB-8 is kind of a kit. It's a bunch of fiberglass parts that have to be put together. The Jupiter 2s are 3D printed,
Okay.
so that's kind of a kit. You print your own kit, and
But you're printing them.
I'm printing them.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
not
might
really
print
a
it.
kit.
No.
That's it. You're building them.
I'm building it, and I also got a little side project. I've got a great casting of a Captain America cap from one of my buddies is in the film industry, and they came to him and said, "We need this original cap molded, and we need 3 of them tomorrow." So he made a mold. He made 3 of them, and he said, "Hey, Walter, do you want to make a part?"
Does it appear to be ridiculously small?
It is ridiculously small.
Yeah, because
you could not possibly
seen
get it
and
on your head.
held
We'll
an
not
original.
say where and when, but
Yeah.
we saw an original, and we're up close and personal with it, and it is freaking small.
It was ridiculously
Yeah.
small.
And I was nervous watching Todd handle it.
It was freaking small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Darryl, so you're headed back to Tennessee?
Yep, going to head back to Tennessee in a couple of days with my son, continue our epic road trip.
Epic road trip?
Yeah, it's been great. I'm going to my big project is turning my display room into the holiday room. So I'll cover all my comic display cases with a Department 56 Village. It's kind of a tradition.
Oh, yeah. We saw those pictures last year, I think.
But right now, the place is just covered with eBay packages because I'm in the middle of an eBay phase. So I'll get that out of the way. Oh, I'll go down and help the shipping of the Star Wars Vintage Collection archive book, which is going to be, it should be on the water now.
Oh, fantastic.
Awesome.
Coming into the port of Los Angeles soon and probably getting caught in that snafu. So we're hoping to have all the books out by the middle of December. Some
I
are going
can't
to go out
wait.
earlier, but the middle of December.
Looking forward to it.
It's an really exciting project that just happened to fall at like the worst of possible times for
Well,
getting these things
there's
done.
a whole bunch of stuff we
So-
won't talk about right now, but
but-
the end product, when you guys get it in your hands, will absolutely be
Yeah.
be incredible. But
That's great.
I'm looking forward to the holidays and turning things over. It's a lot
It
of
is the holiday season now. We're in November.
It is crazy.
Yeah. So, well, we'll talk what we're doing on the show. We may not talk to you guys for a few weeks or whatever, so we wanted to hear what stuff you're working on.
Yeah.
But we're going to work on, Brian and I are going to work on the Space
1999
Comlock. He inspired me to order one of those, and hopefully we'll do something cool with that. I got to figure out that freaking 3D printer. Did I talk about that on the show?
I don't think you talked. Dave got a new 3D printer.
I got a resin 3D printer. I really don't know how to work it, but we're going to at least start with making some 1/6 scale pulse rifles.
Yeah, that was a request from me. So
No, I thought I had some here, but I got to
Yeah.
figure out what I'm doing, so I'm working on that.
if you print them, I'll paint them.
There you go.
Tonight I get to lay hands on Brian's tricorder.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the first things we talked to you about was tricorder with an actual working screen. And
every episode of
that
the
has
show.
every episode of the
Star Trek
show.
in it.
That's
It
one
was-
of the reasons I
it was
stalked
incredible.
him at the prop party.
It was
we were at,
absolutely
'cause
incredible.
I'd
And-
seen him on
and,
Tested had that on it, right?
Yeah, Tested had
We talked about
it
that
on too,
before.
yeah.
And I'm like, I got to meet this guy. I actually had Googled him. I'm like, I saw that. I'm like, I was Googling you, and I'm like, I couldn't find you. And then
You're-
I'm like,
You're
he's
the
at
second
show.
person that Dave has stalked online that has ended up on our show. Gordon Tarpley was the first one.
That's right, yeah.
Brian
That's
Nixon
true.
was the
Is it?
second one. Yes,
True.
I think it is.
Oh, it may be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to stalk some women.
You
Who
should
do
stalk
we
some
need?
other people because
You
they
know,
end up becoming our friends, which is
Stalking
great.
Gordon again might not be a bad idea because I know he's been working on some shows I won't talk about.
Ooh,
But
okay.
he's been in robot suits.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent.
Cool. Always good to hang out with you guys in person. We got to do it again. We know we need to book a California trip.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
would be epic.
Yeah.
That we got to do all kinds of nerdy stuff.
Yes.
Pictures of Star Trek costumes at Vasquez Rocks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we've been waiting
Exactly.
for that.
We really
And that's the kind of thing that our wives have no interest in doing. So
Oh,
we
God,
can't
no.
do that when we go to
I don't even know they
California
want
with
to
them.
hear about it.
No. When I showed my wife the picture of us at the water gardens in Texas, she was like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, "Okay, you don't get it, but
Yeah.
it's
Like
okay
a-
that
yeah.
you don't get it because
Yeah.
my friends do."
Yep.
So, but more on all that later. So, from the Omni Providence at Rhode Island Comic Con, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.